Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to the June episode of the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. Before we get started, a little bit of announcement. Almost missed the June podcast, and we'll try to explain that, and hopefully you guys understand. Hopefully you don't hear too much of her as well. But since the last time I podcast in the last month, actually almost a month ago right now, we took in a newborn foster child. And hoping to adopt, but yeah, obviously time and sleep is very precious at this point. Almost missed doing a June podcast altogether, but I couldn't. I had to get on here and talk the NBA draft and Cam Johnson and a whole bunch of stuff since the last time I podcasted. So if you do hear her a little bit in the background, or if you're watching and I dip out of scene, it's probably what I'm doing. Hopefully you'll forgive me and stay with and enjoy, or otherwise come back and check it out again next month, and hopefully I can do better. But thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in. And we're live on YouTube. We're live on Periscope. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm just so glad that you're listening, supporting. I hope you share it with any other Tar Heel fans that you know that don't already know about the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. So yeah, that's my life. It's been turned upside down in the last month. Pretty crazy, but of course, well, not all fun, but definitely a blessing to us. And yeah, so if you like, I would definitely keep you updated on the whole adoption thing. We got a long ways to go before that's anything that happens, but it's a thing. That's what it is right now. So yeah, since the last time I podcast, long time ago it seems like. These month ones are almost over. We're getting back. We got July, August, September, and then pretty much October. We're starting into more frequent podcasts, and I'm already excited for it. I'm ready for the next year, the next season. Really pumped for it. Trying to think, where should we start? I guess Cam Johnson is where we'll start. It was still in flux, the last podcast. Again, if you are a Tar Heel fan, you already know he is committed to North Carolina. He got released to play right away from Pitt, and he has signed his scholarship papers, I guess is what you would say. So he's good to go for this upcoming season. I say it's a big thing because he's a tall wing. You know, he can step in for Justin Jackson there at the 3 spot, maybe play a little bit of 4, being 6'8" when we go small. It'll be really interesting, though, with the shooters and the guys we got coming in this year and next year, because remember, he's a redshirt sophomore graduate transfer. So this is the first time I've really heard of this, but he has 2 years of eligibility left to play for us as a grad transfer. Usually grad transfers are 5th-year guys, and they got 1 year left, but he's got 2 years left. So that's really interesting. With, you know, we got Felton coming in this year, we got Andrew Platek coming in this year, and the next year we got was it Black and White, Leaky Black and Kobe White coming in. So we're going to be stacked in the backcourt. As far as number of guys, we'll see who kind of turns out and who produces early on and stuff like that. And obviously we'll be losing Theo and Joel after this year, but we're going to have a bunch of guys. So, you know, Kenny Williams and Brandon Robinson and Seventh Woods, and I'm probably missing somebody in there, but a lot of guys there. And so it'll be interesting how we go, and also to see if, you know, how much we play small, or, you know, how Roy adjusts to that, because we all know Roy does not want to play small if he doesn't have to. He'd rather have 2 bigs in there and play traditional. To me, it's even interesting this year. Will he start one of those freshman bigs, or will we start small? Obviously, we're going to have to play small with, you know, Theo or Cam at the 4 this year. But, you know, will he start that way? And obviously, if Luke May is our starting center, or even playing center significant amount, he's undersized. You know, he's a stretch 4. He'll bang and stuff as a 4, but he's not even really a, you know, I guess he's okay for a college 4, but when you think of a 4-man in the NBA, or, you know, a big guy, Luke May is not the first guy that comes to your mind. So as much as rebounding helped us last year, if we're playing that significant amount of minutes this year with that lineup, with Luke May at center and, you know, Cam Johnson or Theo Pinson at the 4, you know, what is our rebounding going to look like? So that'll be interesting to go how those freshman big guys come along, and how much Roy can depend on them, especially into ACC play and NCAA tournament play, stuff like that. So yeah, at least it's behind us now. We know Cam Johnson's committed and he can play this year for us. Other things since the last time, NBA playoffs finished up. Warriors won again, so another NBA title for the Tar Heels or Tar Heel alum. I think I saw it's like 48 or 49 titles for the Tar Heel alumni. Obviously, in James Michael McAdoo getting that, even though he didn't play much. He's there, he gets a ring, and hopefully he'll be able to bring the trophy around Chapel Hill for a weekend or a football game or something like that. So that's, always good to have that publicity. There's plenty of articles. I'm sure there is for every team, but I don't think it's the same as for the Tar Heels. So that's exciting. And then we have a few, I'm going to pull it up here, but a few scheduling stuff that's going to come about. I think in the last podcast, we knew that we were going to play Michigan in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. I'm not sure if we knew it was home or away, but we do know now it will be at home. It'll be in Chapel Hill. We'll play Michigan on November 29th. It's the Wednesday of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. So we kind of finish it up. I'm sure it's going to be a primetime game. So, we're getting, I don't know, obviously it could be decided. We don't have a lot of say in the whole who wins between the ACC and the Big Ten, but if it comes down to it, it could come down to us against Michigan. And right now, of course, anytime I'll probably pick us to beat them. But so Michigan coming to Chapel Hill November 29. Of course, we don't know the time yet. That'll be much later before we get that. And we'll get into a bunch of scheduling and going through the schedule as we get closer into September, October podcast. But along those lines, other scheduling things, the schedule for the Phil Knight 80th birthday tournament or tournaments came out. North Carolina is in the victory bracket. Very fitting there, of course. But we will play Portland on Thanksgiving Day or night. Again, we don't know the time yet. But on Thursday, November 23, we play Portland. And I forget the arena's name, but it's in, I guess it maybe says here, Moda Center. Wherever the Trailblazers play, that's where we play Portland. And then Friday, after we beat Portland, we will play the winner of Oklahoma or Arkansas. And then on Saturday, I guess it skips. We play the opening night Thursday on Thanksgiving. Then we'll play Friday, November 24, and then the championship, as long as we're there, I guess, and the fifth place game. But, all of them, I guess, are on Sunday, November 26th, and the bottom half of the bracket has Georgetown, Michigan State, UConn, and Oregon in it. Obviously, Georgetown, the new hiring of Patrick Ewing as their coach. Michigan State is going to be a top 5 team preseason, possibly top 2 in the country with Miles Bridges coming back. So I kind of expect to see them in the championship as long as we get past Oklahoma or Arkansas. UConn is UConn. We've seen them. And then Oregon obviously would be a rematch of the Final Four game, which see if I can quickly pull up the other bracket that Duke is in. But it has Gonzaga in it. I was kind of surprised we didn't get matched up with Gonzaga, try to get a rematch of the national championship game. But maybe they thought one of us wouldn't make it or, whatever. I don't know. But we are with Oregon. Again, I kind of anticipate Michigan State coming out of there. But the other bracket is called the motion bracket. Not quite the same as a victory bracket. But Duke will play Portland State. Butler plays Texas. Florida plays Stanford. Gonzaga plays Ohio State for those. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because we're not in it. And this is obviously the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. And that's what we care about. But so starting Thursday, November 23 on Thanksgiving, we play Portland. And then we'll play Friday and Sunday that weekend as well. And then I believe I even mentioned on the last podcast, but we do know the home opener, probably when the banner is getting raised in the Dean Smith Center, if it's not late night, is against Northern Iowa, and that's November 20. So quite the start to the season. We have November 20 home opener with Northern Iowa. Then we have the PK80 tournament and the victory bracket in Portland. November 23 through November 26. We come back that next Wednesday. We play Michigan at home. Quite the not preseason, but non-conference schedule that the Tar Heels have once again lined up for themselves. So, it's what we expect from the Tar Heels, and it's what we enjoy. So, obviously, we'll be looking forward to that. And again, we'll get into much more of the schedule, predicting wins and losses, and going through it all much closer to the season, which is why it's important that you subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, which was formerly iTunes. Apparently now we have to say Apple Podcasts instead. Find it in kind of the same place. It's also on Stitcher or pretty much any Android podcast app that you'll have, on YouTube, of course. And yeah, I don't know, SoundCloud, it's there as well. You can find it pretty much anywhere. Otherwise, yeah, just make sure you subscribe wherever you watch or listen to this. And of course, share it out with other Tar Heel friends and family. Let's see, quickly glancing over my notes here. Oh yeah, the last thing I guess we got is the NBA draft. It happened, and 2 Carolina Tar Heels went in the first round. We had Justin Jackson, of course, just outside of the lottery, going 15th to the Kings. The Kings actually moved to get that and get him and pair him with De'Aaron Fox, who they'd picked up earlier. They also got Harry Giles from Duke, so that'll be interesting to see kind of what he does in the NBA or what happens with him. And then Tony Bradley was drafted 28th in the first round, very end of the first round, by the Lakers, and then like immediately traded to the Utah Jazz. So I believe Marcus is still under contract with the Jazz, even if he's in the D League most of the time. But he is property of the Utah Jazz as far as that's concerned. So could be teaming up with Marcus Page at some point if that ever comes to fruition. But Tony Bradley to the Utah Jazz. And then our 3 seniors all signed. I don't know the details, if it's guaranteed money or whatever, but they at least signed to play summer league deals. Isaiah Hicks signed with the Clippers, so he will be, as long as Bryce Johnson's healthy and can play, and does play in the summer league, which I assume he would. He'll be teammates with Bryce Johnson there at the Clippers. That's Isaiah Hicks. Kennedy Meeks signed with the Raptors for their summer league, and then Nate Britt got on with the Atlanta Hawks for their summer league team. So it'll be interesting to kind of follow that, see how they do, and see if they can catch on with a team, maybe at least get into the D League and hop between, or like James Michael McAdoo, at least get onto the bench of an NBA team and be successful in that way. So of course we wish them all the best. Let's see, that's about all we got for this week. Again, just quickly going over my notes. Yeah, I don't want to keep you any longer than I need to. I, again, appreciate you watching, listening, however you're taking in the podcast. I'm sorry it took me so long to get there. I hope you forgive me, and hopefully it's a good enough reason, taking in a baby and trying to raise a baby here and do well by her, and still keep my sanity by getting enough sleep. So I will be back in July. July is typically recruiting month, where in the past I have brought on Ross Martin. I would love to get him back on if we can, or I will try to get somebody to talk recruiting in July. So if you do have recruiting questions, you can tweet them at me, either in direct messages or just mention me, but it's at AllTarHeelDan. You can email it to unchoopstalk@gmail.com, or pretty much any other social media platform you find me. Get those. I'll save those questions so that I have them for next month's podcast when we talk recruiting. And then, yeah, obviously we get into August and September. We start getting into predictions and and scheduling and that kind of stuff. And then, of course, October we got Late Night with Roy. So it is coming quickly. Yeah, I'm just super pumped and ready for this season. We don't quite have the front court that I was hoping with Tony Bradley coming back, but I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be a fun team to watch. It's going to be a little bit different again if we have to go small ball and all that, but we'll talk about that later. I don't want to get in there. You can tell how much I've thought about this already, and I'm into it and ready. So we'll get into that stuff later. I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope you'll come back and subscribe and listen to all the other podcasts. But that's all I got for you. Until next time, go Heels.